Hey everyone, Virinius here, your new Season 3 ambassador, and today we will talk about the changes in Season 3 and analyze what it means for the game's meta. So let's get right into it. First, let's go to the balance adjustments on the special weapons, materia, and summons. Buzzsaw Launcher gets a buff to firing rate and speed. I'm not sure what speed means here exactly, but I'm guessing it's the projectile speed. This makes it more feasible as a weapon. Flare Thrower and Infernal Cannon no longer drops. Say goodbye to the overpowered Flare Thrower, and a lot of people think it's broken, so instead of nerfing it, I'm okay with the A team removing it completely for this season. As for Infernal Cannon, it is amazing for taking down event monsters and Bahamut, so I'm a bit sad that it's going away. Ranger's Sniper Eye gets an amazing buff since the marker is now shared with team members. As a ranger, you can help your team detect enemies from afar just with this passive. If you damage an enemy while you're aiming down sights, or if you keep your reticle on an enemy for a certain time, your teammates will see the marker as well. You no longer have to rely on just assess to be able to track enemies. This is a welcome adjustment to buff the ranger style and give it more tactical power. Bio and Arrow got nerfed, Bio's poison length got decreased. I was not expecting this nerf due to the existence of Jewel Pendant, but it makes sense because they're actually removing Jewel Pendant. Bio is very powerful if you don't have poison immunity, so decreasing the poison duration is okay for me, but don't worry, we will talk about the new accessories later. Arrow's appearance length was also decreased. I'm guessing this refers to the tornado disappearing faster. If you have Eroga, you can probably hop onto it for 3 to 4 times before it disappears. That gives you a lot of space to reload, heal, and throw projectiles. Unfortunately, this strategy will be nerfed, so sorcerers and dragoons that rely on arrow for Firagas and dives will have to be even more careful. On the plus side, your enemies won't be able to exploit your arrow as well, so my suggestion is to land on a higher elevation so you won't be vulnerable to attacks once you land. Comet was also buffed, so we might see an increased use of Comet. Unfortunately, if there is a roof over your head, you are still safe from the Comet. Now Ifrit, I love what they did to Ifrit. It will now attack whoever you're aiming at so you can effectively control Ifrit. However, Shiva will disappear from this season. My guess is because in a full 75 player lobby, Shiva is extremely powerful. If you look at the Japanese private lobby events and community tournaments, some of them banned Shiva because it just wipes out a lot of people with very little effort. With that said, let's move on to the balance adjustment on guns. Oh boy, now this is very interesting. Let's go for the nerfed guns first. Lethal Gaze has once again been nerfed. Note that in the previous patch they decreased the drop rate and the accuracy of the Lethal Gaze. Now they decreased ammo capacity and damage. Is this the end for Lethal Gaze? I think so. Let's look at the Eclipse Eater. Now it has been nerfed with decreased damage and ammo capacity. Wrath Revolver has decreased headshot damage bonus and fire rate, except for the legendary revolver. What does this mean? It's a nerf to the shotgun ninja build and the revolver variants of the other builds. Do I think this is warranted? Yes, because in the past 2 seasons, Eclipse Eater and Wrath Revolver are the most efficient guns in terms of damage output and ammo consumption. If you have 120 heavy bullets, that's more than enough for the Wrath Revolver, because you're dealing 41 damage per hit, and if you get lucky with a headshot, you will deal 92 damage. The revolver is still good, you just can't spam it anymore. Eclipse Eater on the other hand can deal as much as 100 plus damage in one shot. That is insane. So do I think this nerf is justified? Yes. I do think Shotgun Ninja will still be a viable build, but it won't be as overpowered anymore. My speculation here is that people might start running double revolvers now. Revolver Ninja might become a thing because revolvers have a faster fire rate than Eclipse Eater and it reaches farther. However, people weren't running double revolvers back then because the fire rate is fast. Now with a slower fire rate, it might be a good idea to run double revolvers so you can cancel the movement speed penalty after your shot. Now let's go to the buffed guns. Combat Rifle gets an increased ammo capacity. The fact alone that you can shoot for a longer period of time compared to Lethal Gaze makes this gun even more viable as an all-around weapon. I might switch my Lethal Gaze for Combat Rifle now. Shinra Type B's base damage was once again buffed. This is already very powerful as it is, so this damage buff will make it too good to ignore now. Some people might consider using Shinra Type B now, especially since this can drop as a legendary rarity gun. Snipers have been buffed as well, and I like this because they really nerfed snipers in Season 2. With this, we can expect to find more snipers in the game. Inferno and Gryphon's damage have been buffed. This makes Inferno even more deadly mid-range. These buffs on the other guns alone makes me think that this is definitely the end for Lethal Gaze. Now, aside from the individual nerfs and buffs on guns, the damage reduction has also been revised. So the first column states the type of gun, the second column states its effective range, the colored bars indicate how much damage these guns deal from a certain distance from the target. If you like using snipers and assault rifles, you don't have to worry about anything, but if you use shotguns, handguns, and SMGs, then we have something to talk about. See, you can't rely on shotguns, handguns, and SMGs anymore to hit long distance targets. The damage will be weaker, so you might want to rethink your gun builds. Personally, I'm looking at Combat Rifle and Descent's Bane because they both use light ammo and you have a way to shoot close range and long range. But with so many of the guns getting buffed, a lot of them are just as feasible in the upcoming meta. Now let's go to the new accessory chests. Note that both the old and new accessories will still appear from normal chests, it's just that the new accessories have a lower drop rate from normal chests and they have a higher drop rate from accessory chests. Before we go into the new accessories, let's take a look at the balance changes for the old accessories. The most significant change is that Jewel Pendant will no longer drop in Season 3 along with Lightweight Shoes. Now, Lightweight Shoes is fine, in my opinion it's useless, but Jewel Pendant has always been a core endgame item for everyone because it gives you immunity to poison, slow, and blind. Now they're breaking it apart and replacing it with a bunch of new accessories as we will see later. Shelter Ring now halves explosion damage instead of nullifying it. Now, why do you think they did this? Maybe they wanted to make Bomb Launcher a bit more feasible perhaps? But I think they did this because of the new weapon, the Serpent Launcher, is probably considered as explosion damage. You see, it would be weird to have a new SP weapon only to have it completely nullified by Shelter Ring. So that's my theory on it. If you want some protection from Serpent Launcher, go get a Shelter Ring. Another possible reason is that some of the Machinist's abilities are probably considered as explosion damage, but we'll get into that later. Fortune Rings drops have been changed. From what I understand, chests can now drop these listed items when having Fortune Ring equipped. Cat's Bell has also been buffed. It heals for 5 HP every 5 seconds from now on. I like this because I always thought that Cat's Bell's heal was too weak. Now let's go to the new accessories. I'm very excited to talk about this because we have a total of 9 new accessories. I said earlier the Jewel Pendant will no longer drop, but now we have accessories that halves damage from certain elements, makes you immune from debuffs, and some that gives you bonus buffs. Now you actually have to think about what accessories you should be bringing instead of the usual aim for Jewel Pendant kind of mindset. If you decide to bring Fire Ring and Thunder Ring, for example, you'll be susceptible to Blizzard Slows and Bio. This makes Bio a much more feasible materia despite the shorter poison duration, as we saw earlier. Now let's talk about these bangles and belts. Bio Bangle inflicts poison on your enemy when you shoot them with a sniper rifle or handgun. Shiva Bangle slows enemies when you shoot them with an AR. Ifrit Belt reloads your gun instantly and gives you a 20% gun damage bonus if you kill your enemy with shotgun or SMG. Drain Belt heals you for 5 HP per shot when you use Inferno or Gryphon. Talisman increases your MP recovery speed by 30%, but it doesn't stack with the Sorcerer's Arcane Field. I just want to say that I love what they did with the accessories. This is something that I've been asking for since Season 1, so I'm glad they introduced these new accessories and took away the old ones. All of these new accessories are good, so the more experienced players might consider switching accessories depending on who they're up against. Now let's move on to the new water materia. There's a few interesting mechanics here, so let's break it down. It has 1 MP cost and can lock onto targets for up to 40 meters away. It follows the enemy. 1 orb deals 20 damage. At level 3, it fires 3 orbs and deals a total of 60 damage. We don't know the cooldown yet, but it seems like it's about 4 to 5 seconds. If you're a sorcerer, water gets buffed because the size increases by 50% and the splash damage range is also increased. So it seems that this can deal splash damage to nearby enemies too. I'm guessing this can also deal critical damage if you have the precise casting passive equipped when you're a sorcerer. I know it says here flies in an arc, giving it the capability to hit enemies behind cover. However, there is a way to make it fire straight. It doesn't always fly in an arc. If you look at this video, if you are moving left, the water orbs will arc left. If you are moving right, the water orbs will arc right. If you move forward or backward, the orbs will fly straight at the enemy. It's a very interesting mechanic. If your opponent is using water, you can predict the direction of the orbs based on your enemy's movement and find cover so you won't get hit. Another important thing to note here is that water can lock onto airborne enemies, so if someone tries to escape using arrow or high jump, you might be able to hit them with water. What we don't know yet is whether you can cast water while airborne or not, similar to Fire, Bio, and Blind. You'll find out in Season 3's release. As a sorcerer main, I'm pretty excited for this materia. Now let's talk about the Dual Wheeler. I love this gun because this is something that can be maximized by a sorcerer. Why do I think so? Let me explain. The Dual Wheeler has two modes of fire. The first mode is the beam shotgun. It fires 11 beams, with each beam dealing 10 damage. After you fire 3 times with the beam shotgun, it will turn back into the second mode, the laser. The laser mode fires like an AR, dealing 29 damage per hit. Firing it will reduce the gauge. When the gauge reaches 0, it will reload. However, the gauge will fill automatically when not firing. I'm not sure yet if this has unlimited ammo since there is a numerical value there, but we'll see. Question: what if you want to switch back to beam shotgun mode? Well, you have to use 2MP. You click the battery icon there and it will turn into shotgun mode. The beam shotgun is extremely powerful. If you manage to land all 11 beams, that's 110 damage. Now, why did I say that a sorcerer can maximize this gun? Because sorcerers have higher MP regen. 2MP is not big of a deal for a sorcerer because you can cast your materia for free with trance or recover materia with arcane field. If you upgrade your staff to level 3, you have higher MP regeneration. This higher MP regen passive might even stack with a talisman accessory, so switching to beam shotgun won't be a problem for sorcerers unless you're constantly fighting. The Dual Wheeler could be the evolution of the shotgun sorcerer build, but anyway, it's a very good weapon regardless of style, and I'm sure it's a high priority pickup for most of us. Let's proceed to the Serpent Launcher. It's a very straightforward weapon, 400 meter range, 100 damage in an area. It can fire 4 rockets and it packs a punch. Remember back in Season 1 when Bomb Launcher Bomb Ninja was dealing 80 damage per hit? This baby deals more damage, is easier to aim, and can fire at a longer distance. The only downside is the limited ammo and long reload speed of 3.5 seconds. Sheltering will probably half the damage taken from Serpent Launcher though, so keep that in mind. Finally, we have the Machinist class. I won't explain everything here because the other ambassadors will probably cover that, so we'll just focus on the interesting abilities of the Machinist that piqued my interest. Air Gadget is nice. It has a higher jump height so you can jump over large containers. It has 400 durability and loses 5 durability per second. You can use 20 to get a speed boost. Once it reaches 0, it will explode. It also has missiles that can deal up to 30 damage. You can also dismount the Air Gadget and make it explode on enemies for 90 damage, so it has a lot of AoE damage and some mobility. The question is, will Shelter Ring reduce the damage taken from the Machinist's abilities? Are these rockets and explosions considered as explosion damage? We'll find out. Jamming Gadget disables guns within the area of effect and deal 4 damage every 2 seconds to people inside it, including the player that cast it. This small tick damage can probably be used to cancel potions, so that's a great mechanic. Pun intended. Now let's go to the support gears. You get a support gear for destroying your gadgets, which is either the jamming gadget or air gear. Basically, the red orbs will shoot at enemies, green orbs will heal you, and the yellow orbs will blast enemies. The red orbs are the shooting gears. It shoots for 9 damage when you're shooting at a nearby enemy. The green orbs are the healing gears. It heals for 40 HP when you reach a certain HP threshold. But I want to focus on the yellow orbs because this is a very interesting mechanic. If you're a Machinist and you have these yellow orbs, if you take damage from an enemy within 10 meters, whether it's a gun or melee attack, one of these yellow orbs will be consumed to knock back the enemy, deal 20 damage, and inflict a 2-second blind effect. See, you will still take damage from the shot or melee attack, but it will immediately knock back to enemy and deal damage. This is a very powerful skill for the mechanic to counter melee users. You can even follow up with a quick Firaga as soon as someone gets knocked back. Very interesting stuff. It's an anti-melee ability, and I'm very interested to see how this is going to play out in Season 3. By the way, I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported me so far. I'm finally an ambassador for FF7 First Soldier, and I could not have done this without your support. If you're watching this right now, I want to say thank you. Sincerely, I mean it 100%. So that's it for the meta analysis for Season 3. There's a lot of new stuff waiting for us, and I'm excited to see how all of these things will affect the meta. Is there something here that caught your attention? Do you have any predictions or speculations of your own? Let me know in the comments section below. Until then, good luck, soldiers.